All right, everybody, what's happening? Welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. Of course, I am your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells coming at you, and we're gonna do another one of these little news and notes episodes of SWAC Talk. Just gonna cover a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Got a little football I want to talk about, a little bit of SWAC baseball. We're in the baseball tournament, getting ready for the NCAA regionals soon, so we're gonna talk about that, and you know, it's all good, man. So let's go ahead and hop to it. As you can see, the socials are on the screen down below. Facebook is SWAC Talk, Instagram is SWAC Talk, Twitter, SWAC Talk 76, and the email is swactalk76@gmail.com. If you haven't done so already, man, won't you please subscribe to the YouTube channel? Channel is still growing pretty good, so I thank you if you've already subscribed. But if you haven't, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscription button and subscribe. There will also be a button at the end of this video to so you can subscribe, so you can hit that at the end of the video if you want to do it that way. Also, don't forget to like the videos, share them, and feel free to comment, man. Let me know what you think about today's show or any other show. Make sure to hit those comments and hit that notification bell, man, because if you didn't, then yesterday you missed out on a really, really good interview with QB1 from TSU, Andrew Body. I want to I'll send him another shout out, man. Thank you. Much love for coming through and blessing the show. So I'm going to be dropping more content outside of my normal schedule. So hit that notification bell so you can be alerted to when, as soon as it pops up, you'll be alerted that it's there. You won't have to, search and, check out this and check out that to find out if I dropped anything, or you won't miss it. So hit that notification bell because, man, we're coming with some heat. We growing, man. The show is growing and we're doing big things, and I don't want you guys to miss out on none of it. So hit that notification bell and catch the episodes when they drop, man. So don't miss out. So with that being said, man, let's go ahead and jump directly into today's topics. The headline topic, I guess you can call it, is the MEAC SWAC challenge. There's nothing wrong with it right now. There's no problems. It's not falling apart or nothing like that. But with the MEAC having their issues right now with membership, there's always gonna be room for outside ideas, but there's also always room to improve things. And like I said, this is just my idea, not even all my ideas. These are some things that I've talked to with other people on SWAC Smoke, and I've heard in other areas. So I'm not taking no credit for none of these, but I just wanted to kind of put them together and just put it out there. So first off, the next 2 years of the game have been slated. They're obviously going to take place in Atlanta. First game is next year, Jackson State, South Carolina State. That's a game that a lot of people wanted this year. Obviously, they didn't know that the Celebration Bowl was going to take, how the Celebration Bowl was going to take place before they made these matchups last season. So that's a game that still draws some interest. So that's a big game. I think that game is probably going to be very well attended, just off the strength of what's been going on with these two programs. 2024 is FAMU and Norfolk State. That should be a good matchup. It's a former MEAC matchup, although I think they dropped the ball with not putting Southern against Norfolk State. You got Coach Odoms against his old team. It's not any bad blood as far as I know, but that's just a nice little storyline coming into that game. So, but FAMU Norfolk State should still be a good matchup. That's a former MEAC matchup, so I know they want to kind of knock heads again. And the Rattlers are always looking to prove themselves, so should be a well-drawn matchup because FAMU is deep in Atlanta and they're gonna beat us. So I think that's a good matchup. But to me, the issue is future matchups. How do you generate interest in these matchups outside of just the fact that it's the MEAC SWAC challenge? What are you gonna do when you get, are you gonna exclude teams because they don't draw well? Are you gonna, roll the dice on a team that doesn't have a big fan base, doesn't travel that well, and match them up with somebody else and hope that you match them up with somebody who does travel well and maybe it'll balance out? One of the ideas that has been floated around, and it was done for 2 seasons, is to play at at one of the campus sites of the host team. And that's got its pros and cons. It happened twice in this era. Once at Southern and once at Bethune-Cookman. That's something I think that can work, but it really is something that if it's gonna work, then it really needs to be it needs to be it needs this is the one idea that I think that if you're gonna do it, it definitely has to hinge on the home team. So you definitely need to select somebody with a really strong home attendance, somebody with a strong uh, um just a strong support system and a strong fan base. The visiting team doesn't necessarily have to be a team with a huge fan base, and you're gonna really be looking at looking at a travel issue as far as distance goes with a lot of these teams. Somebody from the West and the SWAC traveling to a MEAC opponent, that's a long distance. So you're really gonna need somebody that has a strong home attendance. And in the MEAC, there's not a lot of people who draw well. So that's an issue that can arise. And vice versa. So if you do a home site for the game, then you definitely need somebody who has a great home attendance. And obviously the SWAC has multiple of those. The MEAC, they have a couple, but you're gonna run into a problem if you chose Valley and Delaware State. Obviously that's a wild hypothetical, but that's to me that kind of eliminates a lot of teams, and I think that defeats the purpose of how this game is selected. I think they try to be as fair as they can with the matchups, as far as giving everybody an opportunity. But I think a home site is not going to generate that. Now, if you still get the ESPN money and everything, then they may not necessarily be overly concerned with attendance. But I mean, if you got a 10,000 seat stadium and you can pack it out, then that's just as good as a 30 or 40,000 seat stadium, and you draw about half of it. So, I think, it's not necessarily the size of the stadium that to me would be the issue on a home site. Is can you at least pack it out? So, I mean, if you have a 10,000 seat stadium and you're only drawing 5,000 to it, that's not a great crowd. So, home sites definitely to me would hinge on the home team and their fan base. Now, if you get a visiting team that travels well, then obviously that's a bonus. But that to me, that's one of the biggest issues with that. Obviously, keeping the game in Atlanta, I don't see any reason, other than the fact that some people may want it at home sites. I don't really see any reason to move it from Atlanta. I think Atlanta's a destination city for everybody. So you're gonna be there. At that point in time, there's not really much going on in college football in Atlanta. I know they're having more week 0 games in that week, and then week 1 games as well. So it's becoming a hub of college football, in the early seasons. But you still have your own niche crowd that you're gonna draw. That's not really gonna be 8-2 by anybody else. So you still have a great crowd right now. As far as the highest attended game in this series, I think was in 2007. Southern and FAMU drew like 30,000 in Birmingham. The last days had a couple games draw over 20,000. So I know JSU Bethune-Cookman drew over 20,000 in 2019. So it's been between 10 and 20,000 people in the attendance throughout basically the history of this game. So you're not looking at drawing 45,000 one year and then 15 the next. So anywhere that you can get 20,000 people, 15 to 20,000 people, I think is good. But to me, like I said, it all comes down to how you do matchups. To me, obviously playing this as a first game of a season, you kind of have to be careful how you match these teams up. You have to kind of know these matchups in advance. You don't really want to wait too late or maybe right after the season you can announce it. And then how would you pick teams? Would you go with standings? You try to match up, the two second place teams in the conference, something like that. Obviously the Celebration Bowl will match up the top teams. I don't really think you want to do too many rematches the year after. You want to have fresh matchups, so maybe you go with the two second place teams in each conference, the two third place teams, or whatever. Um, another idea that was thrown out was that do something similar to like the ACC Big Ten Challenge in basketball. Match up the SWAC and the MEAC in that aspect you have, and then in that way you have your big game in Atlanta, and then you have other games between MEAC and SWAC opponents at home sites. Or if you can do it, you have one game in Atlanta, one game in Orlando, or something like that. But to me, you still kind of running into logistical issues and attendance issues. The MEAC is only a 6-team league right now, I believe. SWAC is 12. So how would you handle that? Would you go with your top 6 teams out the SWAC against the MEAC teams, or would you do like something I thought of? Take one division, let's say every other year you do this, or if you want to space it out, you're allowed to play 12 non-conference, 12 games in an FCS season. Anytime there's 13 weekends between Labor Day and the first week and the weekend before Thanksgiving. So if any year that you can play a 12 game, maybe you do the West Division against the MEAC, with one of those games being your premier game in Atlanta, or the East Division against the MEAC, whichever one you want to do first. And then maybe a few years later, when the 12-game season rolls around, again, you do the other division against the MEAC. And by that time, maybe the MEAC has grown a little bit more, and you can kind of, work your way through teams that way. It's just something to kind of think about. I don't think anything really necessarily needs to be changed. Nothing's really broken, so this is not really one of those you need to fix this kind of ideas. This is just something that it's been thrown around. Trying to even increase the scope of this matchup and this series. So maybe getting more teams involved, can help. I mean, obviously, right now, HBCU football is on the rise as far as eyes and attention. So, if you can generate more attention and more revenue through matchups like that, I think that would be a good thing. Otherwise, you just keep it like it is. Like I said, it's not broke, so you don't need to fix it. Pretty much everybody's played in it at this point, I believe. Maybe one or two teams haven't in the SWAC yet, but for the most part, I think everybody's played in it in both conferences. So everybody has had an opportunity. So now it's time to cycle around and generate some interesting matchups and see where you go in the future. As this thing can, it's always possible to grow it more. Maybe the ideas that I threw out there that maybe they wouldn't grow this thing more than what it is. Maybe they would hinder it. That's something that you have to take into account as well. So this is just something that kind of to kick around and think about. So do you think the MEAC SWAC Challenge should stay in Atlanta? Do you think it should be a home site game? 1 year at the MEAC, 1 year at the SWAC. Should they do like a multiple game thing, like in week 0? Everybody gets to play. There's like 6 MEAC SWAC matchups, and then you're free to play other non-conference games after that. Let me know what you think on that. We're gonna continue with the football. This was a pretty busy week for SWAC football, getting commits out the transfer portal, and a major high school commit. Running through this list of guys right now, Reginald Freeman is a defensive lineman from the College of the Sequoias. He is committing to Alabama A&M. That's definitely a big pickup for them. They lost a couple of D linemen out of the portal. They decommitted and went elsewhere. So this is a guy who can come in and help. August Pete from Rice. He's transferring to Southern. He's a wide receiver. That's definitely a position that they need help in, at least numbers. And this is a guy who put up some nice numbers at Rice last season. So he can come in and help. Quinzel Lockhart is a receiver from North Carolina A&T. He's transferring to Alabama State. Isaiah Kendall is a 2023 commit to Jackson State, 4-star wide receiver. So they're still, they're stacking guys early for the 2023 class. That's a huge commitment for them. I'm a 4-star guy. That's a nice pickup for them for the 2023 season. Jelani Davis is a defensive tackle from Dodge City Community College. He's committing to Jackson State. Again, getting help on that D-line. I mean, obviously that D-line was solid last year. They lost some guys, but they brought in a lot of guys. So they're steady adding numbers, and this guy is definitely going to be a dog for them. So that's definitely a big pickup. Wide receiver Ryan Pepins from Utah, transferring to Grambling. He was Mr. Football in Alabama. Explosive guy, really a guy that can really make some plays at Grambling. Gonna come in and help that offense in a big way. Chris Dagry, a wide defensive back. He's from Alcorn. He's going to Grambling. He's a Baton Rouge guy, Skylandville High School guy. Going to Grambling, so coming back to his home state and going up north and play. He has starting experience at Alcorn as a freshman, so he's gonna be a guy who can come step in and help right away. Chris Smith, a running back from Arkansas Monticello, he's going to Jackson State. So those are the guys who have committed so far this week. I may try to do this, every week list these guys. But, like I said, if you want to get deep, in-depth information on most of these guys, the Blue Bloods, man, he got all the information on that. So hit his site up, hit his YouTube channel up. It's a free plug, man. I show respect to the guy who is really, doing work on this kind of stuff. He got, film and, information on these guys way deeper than I have. So, man, make sure y'all check him out. And he got that for you right there. Last thing I want to touch on football. Kickoff times have started to leak out and be announced. So far for games in week 0 through week 2, we have a few games that have been announced. Week 0, the MEAC SWAC Challenge is August 27th. That game will kick off at 6 p.m. Central on ESPN. That matchup is Howard and Alabama State. So make sure you check that out. That's in Atlanta. So if you can't make it to the game, then you can catch it on ESPN at 6 p.m. North Carolina is hosting FAMU also that Saturday. 7:15 Central Time kickoff. That game is on the ACC network. Week 1 matchups on Thursday, September 1st. Alabama A&M is at UAB. 7 p.m. kickoff Central Time. That game is on CBS Sports Network. That's big time. A nice matchup to be televised nationally. Week 1 game on Saturday. So far we have Grambling at Arkansas State. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff. That's a 6 p.m. kickoff on ESPN 3. And Sunday, the big game Sunday is the Orange Blossom Classic FAMU in Jackson State in Miami. 3 p.m. kickoff on ESPN 2. I know a lot of people were pushing for this game to be on ESPN, but obviously ESPN 2 is a huge thing as well. So that's going to be live on ESPN 2. Some week 2 games, Alcorn at Tulane, September 10th, 6 p.m. kickoff on ESPN Plus. Southern is at LSU. That's a 6:30 kickoff on the SEC network. Alabama A&M is at Troy, also a 6 p.m. kickoff on ESPN 3. Texas Southern at North Texas, 6:30 p.m. kickoff, ESPN 3. And Alabama State is at UCLA. That game is a 4 p.m. kickoff on the Pac-12 network. So those are some games that we have so far that have been announced, game times and channels. More will start to leak out in the near future, but those are some that have come up so far. Anything else that I get, I'll definitely drop that on y'all when I get it. Last but not least, we're gonna hop over to baseball real quick. The SWAC baseball tourney is on and popping. Today is actually the championship game, and we'll give you the rundown of what's happened so far in the tournament. The weather played a huge factor in this tournament at the start. Wednesday, they were only able to get 2 games in because of the weather. FAMU beat Texas Southern. FAMU beat Prairie View 5-4 in the first game of the tournament, and then Bethune-Cookman beat Grambling 4-3. And after that, everything else was washed out. Thursday's games didn't get started until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They just kept having to push it back and push it back. Southern beat Jackson State on Thursday 8-7, and Alabama State beat Texas Southern 4-3. So through 2 days, they were only able to play 4 games. So that meant that they had to get creative on Friday, and because they had a lot of games to make up, so they were able to play some games at Regents Field and at UAB at their baseball stadium. So they played the losers bracket at UAB in the morning, and they played the winners bracket at Regents Field in the morning, and then in the evening they played the elimination games at Regents Field. So Southern beat FAMU 8-7 on Friday. Jackson State lost to Prairie View 6-3 on Friday. So Jackson State was the first team eliminated. Alabama State beat Bethune-Cookman 8-7, and Texas Southern lost to Grambling 14-5. So TSU was eliminated at that point. Grambling, later that evening, Grambling lost to Bethune-Cookman 19-0. So Grambling was eliminated at that point. And then FAMU beat Prairie View 17-1 to eliminate the Panthers, setting up Saturday's matchups. The tournament is double elimination, so these games were to determine who would make the championship. So basically, these are like semifinals. FAMU defeated Southern in a wild game, 11-7. Southern jumped out to a lead. FAMU came back, took the lead. Southern tied it. FAMU won it in 10 in extra innings, 11-7. Setting up another matchup with Southern later that night. Bethune-Cookman dropped their second game to Alabama State 4-1, so the Wildcats got eliminated at that point, sending Alabama State to the championship. And Southern defeated FAMU Saturday night 10-2 to set up the championship game between Southern and Alabama State, which will be first pitch should be about 12 o'clock. I think they said the game is on ESPN3. So make sure you check that out if you can. Been a really great tournament. Lots of good baseball being played. Like I said, the weather did this tournament no favors, but the SWAC and the city of Birmingham and UAB, they did a great job of coming together and putting together multiple sites to play a lot of games on Friday to catch up. So basically, they weren't that far off a schedule once they got through Friday afternoon. So a lot of baseball was being played in multiple locations. There were, you had a lot of high scoring games. You had a couple pitchers duels, but the bats were alive in this tournament, man. As you can see, there were quite a few games where teams hit double digits. Matter of fact, there were, I believe, there were 5 games where the winning team scored double digits. So there's been a lot of bats, getting hot in this tournament. Pitching hasn't been as great, but there's been a lot of timely hitting and timely pitching as well. So should be a pretty good game. This game for the championship is the East #1 against the West #1. So you got your top 2 teams going at it. Both teams, came out of the season, pretty much, they had their ups and downs, but they survived. These 2 teams played in the beginning of the season in the Andre Dawson Classic in New Orleans. Southern beat Alabama State 7-6 in that game in 10 innings on a walk-off home run. So this is the only time that those teams have faced this season. So they played each other for their first game of the season. Now they're going to play their game for the last game of the season. So it should be a really good game. Both teams are playing really well. Alabama State is getting it done with pitching. They're not scoring a lot of runs, but they made it through the tournament pretty solid defensively and with really good pitching. Southern has been a mixed bag. You know, the pitching has been up and down. The bats have been extremely hot in this tournament. Southern has made 2 or 3 comebacks in this entire tournament. They've been behind big and came back. They were down 7-0 against FAMU and came back and won that game on Friday. They trailed JSU by 5, I think, at one point. And then, you know, they were down 2 or 3 runs against FAMU on Saturday and came back before ultimately losing that game and winning the next game 10-2. So there's 2 teams playing, you know, different type of baseball at this point, but should be a really entertaining game. Southern's looking for their 3rd straight SWAC championship. Alabama State's looking to, you know, to break that. Alabama State was eliminated where Alabama State lost to Southern in the first game of the tournament last year. Then they lost to Southern in the championship game the year before. So these 2 teams have matched up in the tournament in recent years. So a lot of storylines there. Should be a really good game. The winner goes to the regionals. They'll obviously be a 4 seed. So we'll see where they end up at. But should still be a really great game. Like I said, 12 p.m. first pitch, ESPN3. So check that out. And with that being said, man, I'm your boy C Wells, your tour guide. I'm gonna stop this bus and hop off. We got some big things coming at you this week. Keep your notifications on, man, because we got some things dropping. I don't want to say anything until we get close to it, but you know, got some more things coming down the pipe. So don't miss out, man. We got big things coming at you. Got SWACTalk on Wednesday, SWAC Smoke Live on Thursday. And then SWACTalk coming back at you again on Sunday. If you got your SWAC Smoke shirt, man, tag us on Instagram and let us know. Show us, man. You know, rock that gear, man. Let people know who we are, what we do. So with that being said, man, I'm your boy C Wells. I'm signing out. Hope y'all enjoy y'all Sunday, and I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.